What's going on, everyone? Austin John Plays here, and today we're going to be talking about all the changes that came to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet version 1.3. On April 19th, we actually got an update for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and continuing in the theme of everything, they're being completely transparent, which is so unlike them. Instead of just saying bug fixes, we have a full list of patch notes, and then we have a deeper dive on that. We have some follow-ups and previous things, and then we have all the fun data mine stuff, and we're gonna go over all that now. Before I begin, right now my voice is still coming back to me a little bit. I was a little under the weather, so if my voice sounds off, that's the reason why. The biggest change to this is going to be having to do with the issue with Iron Leaves and Walking Wake. If you were to go online when those Pokemon came out and you did not update your software from version 1.1 to version 1.2 that officially supported those two species of Pokemon, you could still join an online raid that would allow you to battle and capture these Pokemon. However, they were captured as a bad egg and they didn't do anything even after you updated to version 1.2. More importantly, while you could repeatedly choose to encounter these Pokemon in Terra Raid dens, you can never catch additional ones even after you did an update. Supposedly, version 1.3 has a fix for that. If you did go online in version 1.1, do an online raid and catch a bad egg, you are now, after version 1.3, going to be able to go back online, do a Terra Raid den of these two specific Pokemon, and catch them. In addition to that, these two Pokemon are going to be coming back into promoted raids on May 1st, and I believe that's going to be going on for 2 weeks, right about 2 weeks or so. So it looks like if you ran into that issue, you should be good. Supposedly, if everything in the patch is done properly, this will not affect people who went online in version 1.2 and caught the Pokemon as intended. We're gonna have to wait and see until these raids come back if that is the case. If for whatever reason they did not implement it properly and everyone's flag was removed, then everyone could go catch them again. Who knows, all right? There's a feature adjustment for friendly competitions. Basically, before you were allowed to enter only until it began, now you can enter until it ends. Cool. The friendly competitions are useful for the promoted items that they give out, like the canvas backpacks, and then also right toward the end of Sword and Shield's life cycle, that's how you got the shiny Galarian bird. So it sounds like for those very specific things, this is going to be very helpful. Bug fixes for link battles. Fixed a bug in link battles where selecting swap in just before the selection timer reached 0 could fail to switch in the selected Pokemon and subsequently cause switching, and the battle itself to act abnormally. Fixed a bug in link battles where once the remaining timer for that battle was under 1 minute, it would no longer be displayed where it was supposed to. We've seen that happen before, it just like pops up randomly at the bottom. Fixed a bug that occurred link battles where, depending on the move being used at the time a Pokemon fainted, the amount of time a trainer received to select their next Pokemon was reduced. Okay, some very specific bug fixes here. Also, fixed a bug where the Pikachu ability would trigger again once every 2 turns after it triggered for the first time, contrary to what is written in the ability description. Fixed a bug that occurred when Zoroark terastallizes using its illusion ability to disguise itself as another Pokemon. On the check status screen, the terastallized Zoroark's type would be displayed as the original type of Pokemon. Okay, so that just sounds more like cosmetic changes. Fixed a bug that occurred, it's always Zoroark, there's always issues with it and illusion. Used the illusion ability to disguise another Pokemon that had already terastallized. This bug caused Zoroark's type on the check status screen to incorrectly display as the Terra type of the Pokemon. And fixed a bug in double battles with moves that cause stat changes for the Pokemon using the moves. This bug caused the stat changes to incorrectly happen twice if the user hit 2 opponents with the move while an opponent Pokemon was behind a substitute. Okay, that's very specific. Pokemon Go connectivity. Fixed a main issue causing the game to crash on the screen used to pair with Pokemon Go account. This may be the language that they are using following back on a video that I did previously about the Pokemon Go connectivity and the Vivillons and people losing their save data. You may remember this story from about a month ago that I covered, users claiming that their Nintendo Switch save data just stopped working weirdly after doing Vivillon stuff. Matthew, who was doing a great job on organizing people on Reddit and coming up with the reports and everything else, did properly reach out to Nintendo support, and Nintendo support enlightening him that they were going to be helping him, and there's a backdoor method built into the Nintendo Switch that you can upload your save data to a server in which Nintendo can then inspect the save data. And then also speaking to some people more familiar with the programming, all the information that's sent over for the Vivillon is just tiny little pieces of code except for one giant block of data that's just a whole bunch of zeros. So it sounds like if all those zeros weren't in the proper place, then that block might be corrupt or not read properly, and because of that, the game didn't start up. After the users uploaded their save data to the server, they would then push the information back and people got their save data back. So if you did fall victim to this weird bug that was happening regarding save data, as I recommended before, reach out to Nintendo support and they can help you with this. However, it does sound like this very, very rare, very infrequent bug is now fixed in version 1.3. And one other note, fixed a bug affecting trainers who received Hisuian Zoroark for the mystery gift as a special early pre-order bonus of the DLC. Without first having seen Zoroark in the game, this bug caused Zoroark to be incorrectly displayed and registered in these trainers' Pokedexes. Okay, that is all of the official notes that we have regarding version 1.3. But wait, that's not all. Our friendly neighborhood data miner Matt actually looked into the game's code on version 1.3 and we found some more changes. Now, if you're not familiar, this is what they did for Pokemon Sword and Shield, where before the DLCs were released, there were Pokemon Pokedex entries that were just scrubbed away and removed. And we saw the exact same thing happen on the version 1.2 update. Well, there are some changes to this. I took the entire list, I extrapolated that information, I extrapolated the information from the 1.2 update, I extrapolated the information from the transferable Pokemon, and I came up with, ready, an Excel sheet. Where's my mug? I left my mug in the other room. So on here we have the Pokemon species if they have a specific form as such as a regional or anything special like that. Its current Pokedex number in Scarlet and Violet, as we see right here, Pikachu and Raichu. If it had home transferability in the first place, like as version 1.0 or even before that, if it was included in the data miner version 1.2, and if it was included in the data miner version 1.3. There are some small changes, so we're going to be going through this quickly. I'm not going to be reading through all of these Pokemon because the various Pokemon forms and different features and everything else are covered inside of my previous video of all 715 Pokemon in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which includes the base game and the DLCs. So I'm only going to be going over some notable changes here. Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard, who were, registered as transfer-only Pokemon from the very beginning, which we know because of the 7-star raids, were added in DLC version 1.2 and remain in version 1.3. We're going to be seeing that happen a lot. Also, whenever you see Alolan variants here, that's based on the fact that their sprites were included in the base version of the game. However, as we know now, that all of the sprites exist somewhere in Pokemon Home especially, so this may be slightly less accurate. However, it being in the base version of the game leads me to believe that yes, all these Pokemon are supported. In the same way that right now, you can have Alolan, Grimer, and Muck in the game, even though there's no way to officially have them in the game. Hi, this is an interruption from fully caffeinated Future Austin here. While I'm going through this, I'm realizing that the keys that I'm using are listed as DLC and DLC2. This is just because it was the first information that we had about Pokemon possibly being in the DLC, and second piece of information about this. This is not directly related in any way, shape, or form to the Pokemon being available in Part 1 of the DLC versus Part 2 of the DLC. In addition, sometimes I use the phrase DLC update. By that, I mean the update leading toward the information of the DLC. I'm specifically still talking about the version 1.2 update of the base game and the version 1.3 update of the base game, both of which support the DLC. Hope that clears up any confusion and no one misconstrues any information from this spreadsheet. Great. Back to previous Austin,
who just started having coffee.
The first notable change to talk about here is the legendary birds from Generation 1 Mewtwo and Mew have all been listed as transferable. However, they do not appear in the update information in 1.2 or 1.3. However, Matt has an idea about this because remember in the Crown Tundra where you got to go into Dynamax Adventures and catch the legendary Pokemon? Well, they never registered into a Pokedex. So because of that, these Pokemon still could be fully supported, transferable from Pokemon Home, but just will never appear in a Pokedex. And to continue with that same exact idea, if we go all the way to the bottom, Walking Wake and Iron Leaves didn't have any Pokedex information in version 1.2. Only in version 1.3 have they had erased Pokedex information. So it sounds like we are going to be getting Pokedex entries for them. Again, all of this is just us gathering information and presuming what that information means. All of this is subject to change in the future from Pokemon Official, and all of it just may be interpreted incorrectly. However, based on previous habits and previous things that we have seen, this is more likely than not accurate. As we have the Typhlosion line being available as transfer only, they introduced Chikorita and Totodile's evolution lines in the last update. However, contrary to that, in some new changes, in version 1.3, we now have all of the Pokemon Black and White starters, the Snivy line and the Tepig line, in addition to the Samurott line, who none of them had any information in the 1.2 update. However, now they have information in the 1.3 update. That also continues on for the Pokemon X and Y starters, the Chespin line, Fennekin line, and Froakie line. While we knew they were all transferable in the first place, we now have them all listed to be available in the DLC. So anyone who was upset that there was preferential treatment to one out of the 3 starters, we can now see that that no longer exists. Apparently they got enough backlash from, you know, Charizard being in the Galarian Pokedex, but not the other 2 until the DLC. If you recall a while ago when I made the first video talking about the transfer-only Pokemon, it seemed weird that Deontay was listed there, as well as Carbink being like completely out of the blue. Carbink now has one of those spots scrubbed for the 1.3 update. So the idea that Carbink and Deontay are related and then brought into that story, hint hint, South Kalos, hint hint, sounds more likely. Although we've seen some things about the DLC. The fact that it's South Kalos seems, you know, less likely now. Less. So yeah, going through it and applying filters, it just seems like it's a majority of a lot of different starters from different generations, and the new Paradox legendaries that didn't have those slots in 1.2 and now have those slots in version 1.3. So just cleaning up stuff. If the starters are going to be available to capture or something else in that, we don't know, but that's what we see. And that pretty much wraps up all the information for the version 1.3 update. The Vivillon Pokemon Home connectivity appears to be completely fixed, so you should be able to resume trying to go get all your different butterflies, no problem. It's probably never going to be easier for you to do it in the mainline Pokemon game than it is right now, especially if you know, want to shiny hunt them. Shout out to Matt for all the fantastic data mining information. Shout out to Google Sheets for being a free version of Microsoft Excel. And there we go. Guys, if you found this information helpful, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button down below. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Until next time, Austin John out.
Man, they see me shining like I got the charm. Stay strapped, got that jet ball in my palm. Fell from the sky, guess I'm the chosen one. And if you need to know how, check out Austin John. Champion flow, yeah, I got that champion flow.